there aren't many guys that are wired. Rodney Terry said it perfectly last night. Wired to score at 6'6" with physicality, hoops IQ. His dad's been a long-time coach, actually played at Baylor under Rodney Terry. That's how long they've been along that relationship's been with Rodney and Trey Johnson's father and that family. But this kid is wired to score the basketball, but he's also a winner. He's a tough kid. He's a competitive kid. I saw him as a young player play against a Richardson High team that had Cason Wallace, obviously in the NBA now, one of the best defensive guards you'll see in high school basketball. And they also have another guard who's at Alabama who has a chance to play. Rylan Griffin has a chance to play for money one day. And I mean, Trey never backed down. I mean, he went at them, and that's the type of player he is. And he led Lake Highlands to a state championship last year. So to go with everything you see on a YouTube channel watching him play, he checks all the boxes off the court. And from a leadership standpoint, from a toughness standpoint, the guy lives in the gym. He has everything you want. And he's also from Dallas, guys. I mean, even though he's playing at Link Prep as a senior, you're talking about the number one player in Texas before he moved out of Texas. Then Nick Cody, who they signed earlier last week, is now the number one ranked player in Texas, also from that Dallas area. So it's a tremendous recruiting class, ranked 4 or 5. And I don't think they're done. I think they'll add a fourth piece to this class probably late. But Cam Scott, 6'5" guard. Trey Johnson, 6'5.5" guard. Nick Cody, 6'8.5", power forward with skill. I mean, they're adding tall, long guys to this roster, and he's building this roster the right way.
Hey, Jerry, is there any trepidation that Trey Johnson may explore the G League instead, like Ronald Holland?
I think you always have to just kind of wait and see on that. I think right now that is not where they're headed, right? But a lot of this stuff happens more. So he's playing in the National High School League, right? If he goes out and tears that up this year, and they played, I think, their first game earlier this week, or actually it was last week. But, if he goes out and averages 18, 19, 20 a game, people are going to start wondering, right, in that league, which he could do. But I think right now he's definitely headed to college. I think there's the one thing about Trey to know is when he went on his official visit to Texas in August, he went over to the football facility. He spent 30 minutes with Steve Sarkisian. I posted a photo of him and Arch Manning at the time on Twitter. But this guy he's a college-minded kid, and he'll only be there a year, but he at least wants that experience. Like I think with some other guys, they weren't sure if they wanted that experience. Trey actually really wants that experience. I think he likes the idea of being a college player for a year because I don't think maybe sees himself and mentality is in such a rush to try to get the pro basketball. I think he'll only be in college a year, but I do think he'll end up at Texas for a year.
A huge get for Texas. Longhorns did beat Rice last night. What have you seen from the early results? I mean, they're 3-0. They haven't really played anybody. A lot of turnovers last night. Dylan Mitchell had 5, and Max Aesums had 4. They got to be better with the basketball, but you're kind of seeing the formation of what this roster is going to be. And don't forget, they're going to add Dylan DeSue to this roster coming up in December before conference play. What have you liked about the early results, and what are you concerned about?
I think they shoot the ball just as expected from 3. I mean, they're a tremendous three-point shooting basketball team. Now, I think they're going to have to play 3 guards to maximize that. So it's they're in a bit of a pickle at times right now. How do you fit that defensively and be the team you want to be while also keeping your floor spacing and your offensive perimeter threats out there in numbers? I think that is kind of what the tricky thing for them right now. They got to get better with the basketball, though, and I think Rodney said that again last night. I mean, it's one thing if teams are forcing you into turnovers with high-end pressure defense and maybe situational defense, but that's not the case here. It's a bunch of unforced turnovers. Texas had 16 turnovers last night. I would think 13, 14 were unforced in reality. But considering the competition they're playing, they have to clean that up. You want to be around 10, 11, 12 turnovers. You don't want to be giving away 4, 5, 6 possessions per game, especially when talent becomes neutralized. If you do that, you're going to put yourself behind the 8 ball in those games. So I think that is Caden Sheddard looks really good considering he's playing his way back into shape. but he's bringing them something, an interior presence that even a Christian Bishop couldn't bring them last year, because he can score it in the paint. He'll make free throws. He actually has an offensive game with his back to the basket. Bishop was more of a slasher. So I think that Caden Shedrick's bringing them a lot. I think Dylan Mitchell continuing to kind of play to his strengths, I think, is going to be key for Texas this year. I think the more he puts the ball on the floor and the more he tries to create, the more negative plays he's going to produce against really good competition. So I think playing within himself, playing to what he is now, not what he wants to be in 4 years, is going to be key for this team.
Hey, Jerry, can I jump to some football recruiting and ask you about any other dominoes left to fall in this 2024 class?
Yeah, I mean, look, it'll be interesting